Sound like time.
Welcome to another episode of Daddy Confessions. We here. You know what I'm saying? It's a short week. I'm giving it to y'all twice in 1 week with Daddy Confessions. We'll see if people join us, but come on, man. All right, this is a family show here, Mike. All right, but Daddy Confessions back in the building.
I ain't saying anything.
I know you didn't say anything. We are live on Thursday night. This is going to be the regular night for the show. Actually, not only is it going to be the regular night for the show, but we are going to be doing this show really every other Thursday night. Like the idea of doing it every week at the beginning, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I'll be completely honest with you. I am still a father. I'm gonna try. I would love to, but you get what you get. You get what you get. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens. But I definitely know I'm off next week for sure. Off next week for sure. I got a event. I won't be able to do the show next week. Okay. But so for
Mike
sure next week.
Mike said
he'll do it for me.
Yeah,
you know what? We might have some guest hosts do the Daddy Confessions
Mike,
podcast. You know what I'm saying? We'll see.
Mike the Daddy. For Mike the Daddy.
But before we get too far into it, I do want
to Mike Daddy.
I do want to say what's up to my boy Mike from the Millionaire Man Cave. Mike, thank you for joining us tonight on Daddy Confessions. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I appreciate you inviting me. So I am the Mike Daddy, as you can see. My internet, I think, is messing up.
Yeah, you got crappy
internet. Mike got that. He got that tin can internet going.
Mike still on AOL.
Got that dial up.
I got my internet from Temu.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but Mike, thank you for joining me here on the podcast tonight, man. I really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? We on hiatus right now from the Millionaire Man Cave. So thank you guys for taking some time out to be here. Also, Ty, thank you for being here, man.
Of course, anytime I've had the opportunity to join Daddy's Confessions a couple times, so I always enjoy coming on and being a part of again, not just black men doing stuff positive, but just men doing stuff positive in general. I am a father of 4, so I always enjoy sharing my experience as a father, with you, John.
That's right. Thank you, sir. Oh, and Mike, how many kids you got?
16.
18.
18 kids?
No, I have 3 that I know of.
Mike got 3 kids. Mike got 3 that he know of.
See,
3 that he claimed. Three that he claimed. So well, thank you guys for being here.
2 in college and 1 in middle.
2 in college and 1 in middle school. Man,
Mike is on that 30-second delay, so you got to give him a second.
I got to give him a second. That's right. I forgot all about that.
I may have to dip off and reboot and see if it catches up.
Okay. That's fine. As people come in and listen to the show, great. You can either listen on podcast later on. You can come in and watch live tonight. We appreciate it if you can be here. If you can't, you can be a part of the rewatch gang later. I always say that. Love to have I know people watch later if they can't be here at the time when the show was airing, so that works for me too. Rewatch gang. I've been a member of that gang before in other situations, so.
Yep.
And so here we are. I do want to tonight's topic is one that is near and dear to me as an educator. It would be probably more near and dear to me if I did not also work at the school where my kids go to school. But the topic tonight is back to school. So I want to talk a little bit about getting the kids back to school. So if Mike makes it back, I know that he got 2 kids in college, and he said 1 in middle school that's going to be starting next week.
Oh wow!
And Ty, you got all 4 of your kids is in college now.
Nope. 3 are in college. 1 is graduated already. Oh. Yeah. 1 is a full-fledged adult paying back the student loan bills.
Adulting already.
Exactly.
They got
already.
Wait, they don't have no delay on paying those bills back.
So I really don't know if he's paying his bills back yet or not. But supposedly, the government has put a block to the procrastination of paying them bills back. But so I don't know what they're actually doing. So he may be paying them back. I don't know.
Hey, he an adult. That's his prerogative, right?
That part. That part. He is 23 years old.
That's right. So for those people watching, if you guys have any comments tonight as we are talking about getting the kids back to school, please feel free to chime in. We will take the comments as we go throughout the evening. But tell me, Ty, you've been through this whole school thing several times now. What would you say? Hold on, let me get Mike back in the room. Mike is back. He went out and wound up the internet service so he can get a couple more.
Did it work?
So
am I back on regular now?
It is. You are. So and Zero Sugar is back. And I found out who Zero Sugar is.
What up, Zero Sugar? Who's Zero Sugar?
That is my wife.
Oh.
That's what happened when you let the kids play with the phone. They start changing names. My baby sweet and low. Thank you, baby, for listening. I appreciate it, baby.
John gets zero sugar. John gets zero sugar.
What up, wife?
So yeah, that's my wife, man. And so what I was saying, Mike, before you rudely interrupted by coming back into the podcast, was what are some of the things that you guys look forward to most? You've done this a lot now. What are some of the things you guys look forward to most leading up to going back to school, to the kids going back to school?
So leading up or just
leading up to it. What are some of the like that whole process of, because obviously we got the day of, we got the after effect, but let's talk about the leading up to it. Like, what are some of the things you look forward to leading up to them going back to school?
So I'll say for me personally, it's been different for me this year, as you just mentioned, John. All of my kids minus 1 are in college. 1 has graduated college. So it was a little bit different for the environment of leading up to school for them, as leading up to school for 2 of them was a major event because this is their freshman year in college. The third one, this is his junior year in college. So there really wasn't a leading up. He actually worked all summer, and literally and this is the crazy part. So he's in theater, and he was doing some theater out in Illinois, and he literally worked all summer in Illinois, came home for literally 24 hours and went right into school. So there was no leading up for him at all. Wow. It was like, I'm here, Dad. Now I'm back out. Like that was his thing.
But the theater he did wasn't through school, was it?
No, this was actually a summer job that he actually had. Okay. It was on his own. And it was just like, similar to, I guess, in regular, he wasn't an internship because he got paid. And I know they had paid internships, but it was actually a job that he worked and so forth. And then literally he turned right back around, was home for 24 hours and then like left right back out. So there was no leading up to school for him. For the other
Wow.
two, there was leading up to school because again, they're freshmen. They just graduated in June. So there was the buying of of school stuff for their dorms, the buying of stuff for all the things they had to do to get ready for freshman year of college, preparing financial aid, preparing for applications, preparing for all of that stuff that you usually go through in order to lead up into the first day of college. So it was a little bit different, not having them going to your traditional K through 12 this year, unlike previous years for me personally.
Okay. Mike, what about you?
Best of both worlds for me. So I have, just like Ty, I have a son starting his junior year. He stayed in Savannah for the most part and worked all summer. And he will be home this weekend. His school they're on quarters and they start a little later. So I think he starts in September, but he's just coming home for the weekend and he's going to go back down there and get ready. That dude's been self-sufficient since he was 2. It's always my joke. So we don't have to do a lot for him. My middle, he's a freshman. So we took him last weekend to school and dropped him off. The leading up was more for me. The anticipation was bittersweet. So I dealt with the graduation and all of that. And then, let me say this. My wife takes care of a lot of that get ready for school stuff. I don't. So I didn't have to worry about a lot of that. All I had to worry about was how I personally was going to accept him not being in the house anymore and give him, little nuggets and things to take to school mentally. I definitely let him know some words of advice and things like, don't be afraid to hit me up in case you get into something, Okay. So things like that. My daughter still in K through 12. For her, it's just transitioning from her summer life to school life, which means that she can no longer be on the phone at 10, 11 o'clock at night, when she's got to get up at 6 in the morning. So there's the transition there. Not really anticipating. The only anticipation is getting back to a standard schedule.
Okay.
With school, work, and running that balance. So,
yeah. Well, you said something interesting, Mike, that actually kind of sparked my interest a little bit, and it's this whole idea of the parts we play in this process, right? Like, and I'll speak for me. My wife handled a big part of it insofar as like getting their school supplies and everything. We decided that like the school has a program. My kids go, they have a program where we can do the school supplies through the school. We decided not to do that. Right. They take a little cut of it. They charge a little bit more, stuff like that. Right. Yeah. But we decided not to do it. We decided to just go out and get it on our own. So she went out and she bought the stuff. She bought them, school shoes, stuff like that for school. But because they go to school where I work, the part that I have to play, and I still haven't completed that part yet, is actually like the medical forms and stuff like that. Like I gotta do that kind of stuff. I gotta get on that. They gotta get the medical forms.
You still haven't done it.
Why that? Stop listening, because the medical forms ain't done yet. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so that kind of stuff is the stuff that I deal with the paperwork because of the way our setup is. Like, what part, Ty, did you play in the lead up to the kids going off to college?
I got to remember that I'm on a different show tonight, so I can't say what I wanted to say.
Yeah, this is a family show, sir. Family show.
You know, there are other shows that are family shows. There's somebody, never mind. Anyway, so to answer your question,
my wife giving me the mean face on
that. To answer your question, what part did I play? So, you know, fortunately, with our kids, you know, for those who don't know, I do have a different dynamic than both John and Mike, as I have bonus kids in addition to biological kids. So, as I mentioned earlier, I have one that's already graduated.
You got a bonus kid on either end?
Yeah, I got bonus kids. That's
why I
said
both ends.
Like technically on both ends.
Yeah, that's why I said I got bonus kids. So I was getting ready to say.
But no, what I'm saying is, Ty, they book in your whole family, like all your kids. I never paid attention to that.
That's what I was getting ready to say. So my 23-year-old, you know, who actually is my bonus son, you know, so he graduated from North Carolina A&T this past May. And, you know, I wasn't too involved, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't too involved in that process at all. So, you know, I really didn't have to do anything there at all when it came to him. And so on the back end of that, as you mentioned, on both, you know, since I got bookends, my bonus daughter, I just say my daughter and my son, but my bonus daughter, same thing. I played more of a part with her than I did with my bonus son. But again, she actually has a biological dad and she has a biological mom. And so my thing is, as a bonus dad, I am not here to take their place to do anything for them, meaning the dad, you know, parts or whatever. So I am the bonus when it comes into that. So I am the support system. So I was there as a support for my daughter. I was there as a support for my wife as she went through the process and help her even through some of the things, because this is her first time actually having, you know, a child going off to college, whereas this is my second, technically third. So I was more of a support, more so for my daughter than I was for, you know, for anything else, you know, for her, especially considering the fact that she changed schools last minute and decided to go to a local school rather than where she was initially going to go. But yeah, I was there to help her move in, all of those good things, so on and so forth. Now, my oldest biological son, who's actually entered his junior year, I was more involved in his, and specifically financially, and able to help him pay for his, you know, his schooling, through his college career. So I was involved in that way. They all, you know, of course, you got to put down, you know, what job you got, how much you make, and everything, all that good stuff for financial aid. So I was involved in that. I was, you know, involved in, you know, buying stuff. I was there to literally take him, you know, to school and unpack his stuff and all the other stuff. And pretty much same for my youngest biological son. However, because his mom and I are no longer together, that's the bonus part, I took care of my oldest biological son's financial obligations, and she's taking care of our younger son's financial obligations. So I really didn't even have to be involved that much with financial aid, even when it comes to our youngest son. So she took care of a lot of the paperwork and all of that good stuff, where with my oldest biological son, I took care of a lot of the paperwork and a lot of that good stuff that, you know, that had to be done that way. So we kind of, you know, divided and conquered when it came to our kids, as far as, you know, involvement. Outside of, you know, I still was there to drop them off. I still was there to, you know, help them unpack. I still was there. I got them the refrigerator and all that other good stuff that they need for school, and, you know, all of that good stuff in those sense. But as far as the paperwork and, you know, it's that and the third, we divided and conquered. I did the oldest and she did the youngest biological, you know, when it's concerned. But outside of that, you know, I'm still there, involved, you know, mentally, emotionally, financially. You know, I still ask them literally every week, you know, what you need anything, you good, how was class, all of that good stuff. So I'm involved in those ways too. And I think John has
Mike,
so Mike, you want to tell us how you involved with your kids?
Oh, John's frozen, huh?
Yeah, John looked like he stuck, you know. His wife might have came downstairs and beat him since he didn't turn in that paperwork with his kids. So Mike, how are you involved in your kids' process for school?
Well, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I'm more standoffish. My wife takes care of darn near everything.
But is that by choice? Like, is that an agreement that y'all have? Like, you chose to?
No. It's just how it plays out. So I'm more of that support system. You know, like, let me know what I can do, and I'm gonna jump to it. But whereas she is a planner, I'm a reactive type person. She's a planner. I react well. She plans well. So I'm like an emergency type of support usually. But yeah, because she's so good at planning, she just takes the lead. She just does a lot of that, getting them ready for school stuff. She keeps me in the loop. I add in, like I said, she lets me know where I can get in and fit in, and I do. And I'm there with the kids, all through it, in terms of taking them, and like we split taking my daughter where she needs to go is in terms of getting to the bus, getting to school, things like that. We kind of split that up, but going to school, taking the kids to college, we both did it, together. Actually, when my middle son last weekend went to NC State, my oldest son came with us. So the whole family dropped him off. All of us, all 5 of us were there.
Fun fact, right quick, John John's back. Fun fact. All 3 of us are actually married to Capricorns who are, like Mike said, planners. So that may be why, in a lot of cases, we kind of are the action people while they are their planning people. So yeah, all 3 of our wives.
Y'all wives plan stuff.
The shade.
Zero sugar. You getting 0 sugar tonight, John?
She is watching.
That sugar gonna be super low, sweet and low tonight.
I must got a weird. I got a weird Capricorn. So sorry guys. I don't know why the Joan froze up at all. That never happens. That never happens to me. That's always a Mike thing.
I know. Actually,
I don't ever get weak. I'm always strong. Family show. All right. But no. So yeah. But thank you guys for carrying on while I was out. Apparently my wife says really whatever. Yeah, she knows she ain't no actual planner. But it's that. Thank you guys for that, because I really appreciated hearing how you guys talked about the things that you guys do or don't do as it relates to that part of it, and the fact that Mike, that's cool that everybody piled in the car and went up to get your son squared away, which is cool. I mean, that's how you want it to be, right? You wanted you always wanted to be a kind of a family affair when you guys are going through those motions, right? I love the fact earlier when you talked about, Mike, the idea of just dropping the nuggets on your kids as well, right? Like, just telling them this, that, or the other things to be mindful of. Because he don't need 2 parents who are like working him into a you know what I'm saying? Like got all kinds of ideas going through his head. He needs somebody who he know he can rely on to be the cool, calm, and collected, and the other person is like, my baby is going off the, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm being very chauvinistic, like putting the gender roles in there, but that's how it goes sometimes. And so I feel like for myself, I got little kids, but I feel like I oftentimes just get into the mindset of, well, how can I help them better understand what's about to happen next, right? So we talk a lot about like, okay, well, this is something you got to look forward to, or something you need to be aware of, and things that you need to understand about the situation that you are walking into, or even just an opportunity for them to bounce off of me the ideas and the concerns that they may have about whatever they're about to walk into. So
you're right.
Yeah, I guess that's just the way that I am. Like, that's how I like to.
I think that's how you should be as a father, and it doesn't stop. Even though Mike and I have kids that are gone to college and gone to college and whatnot, and Mike still has a daughter that's still in K through 12. You still as a parent, or specific as a father, and probably as a parent in general, I'm pretty sure the women can probably attest to the fact that even as your children get older, you still are there in that support role of, let me be able to give you the nuggets, or let me be able to drop wisdom on you, as you go through your different stages of life. It just, as I mentioned last week on your show, I was in the comments, it just changes as that, as they get older. It goes from, like you said, being the nurturer to being, I can be a little bit more real with you because you're now 18 or you're now X, Y, and Z. And I can tell you some things that I could not tell you as a 10-year-old that I can now tell you as an 18-year-old. Right. So, it's still the same. It's just, it's just at a different level, different way for it.
So I know we got a couple people listening. Anybody out there got some ideas, some things that they try to do as they are planning for their kids' next step into school when they getting ready to go back to school? And while they are maybe chiming in, what I want to do is get from you guys who got AOL up. AOL?
Right?
got the instant messenger. I would love to hear from you guys. Like, what is your favorite part of letting them go off to school? Like, what do you look forward to most? You said what? Letting them go off to school, like just being gone. That's it. That's the end. Like they out of here. They out of here. So I mean, you see like the memes and the videos and stuff like that. People have all these things about like how exciting it is on the first day kids go back to school or whatever. Like how happy the parents get. In my mind, I'm like, it would be happy, except I have to go to work. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, well, even not even with them, like at all, right? Like them going back to school only works if I don't have nothing to do.
Yeah, I mean, well,
what's
yes
up, Corey?
No, John. I'm yes and no, and the reason I say yes and no is because, again, when your kids are younger, then there is like, in your situation, John, where you have two younger kids, there is still that involvement of whether it's you and or your wife. I still got to get them up. I got to get them ready for the bus. So I got to take them to school. I got to get them. I got to pack their lunch. Make sure they did their homework. I got to make sure they got their, all their permission slips signed. And I got to know what they doing, this, that, and the third. But when they get older, yeah, I still have to work. I still have to obviously, physically do work myself because I still got bills. But it's a little bit different in the sense of, they gone. So for those who know, I've been hashtagging empty nesters like for the past 3 weeks, like religiously, and I do it. I do it to sort of mess with my kids because that is the running joke. Me and my wife are now empty nesters. So we've been, going out and doing some things here and there, but it's not like we couldn't do those things when our kids were here, because our kids, especially when they get to the age of 16, 17, 18, they have lives of their own. They're working jobs. They're doing things anyway. They don't want to be involved with mom and dad. So they're already off doing their own things. 9 times out of 10, if they ain't got their own cars, they driving your car. So they ain't never home or any of that stuff. Actually, my neighbor told me just that. My neighbor who lives directly next, he's like, yo, how does it feel to be an empty nester? And I'm like, it's good. They're not here. I ain't got to worry about it. Like my wife, she still worries a little bit. But, we ain't got to worry about this, that, and the third. And he was like, well, they always come back because literally his kids just came back and they came back with grandkids. So,
so if you listen to this, and I put a hashtag up and say hashtag they always come back. Because I think they do. I did it when I went away, you know what I'm saying? Like I went away to boarding school. And then after boarding school, I went away to college. And then I moved back for a job in the area and lived at home for a little bit. Then I moved out. And then things didn't go well with my roommate / cousin. So I moved back. And so, yeah, man. And then I went away, got married. We lived in the house for a little bit while we was trying to get our act together. So, yes, they always come back. They always come back.
Yeah, that's.
They never go. They never really go away.
I had to actually tone my oldest son, the junior. I had to tone him back a little bit. Remember, I said the running joke is he's been self-sufficient since he was 2. Mm-hmm. This dude is realistically having and planning a contingency plan in case he doesn't get a job in his major. he's trying to double up kind of now in something that is economical and that he can easily get into.
Okay.
And I'm like, I had to tone him back. So I was like, dog, this school he's going to is a prestigious school for arts. And
you go to Juilliard. No, I'm joking.
yeah, no. He goes to SCAD, and
it's a great
since
school.
He's been there, I hear all the time anybody who recognizes it, they're like, "Whoa, he goes to SCAD."
Great school.
Yeah, so we didn't know it was like that when he went, but yeah, so I had to kind of tell him, dude, you were going to this school, you need to put this education to work. Don't just dump everything into, or half of your life into, this contingency plan. So you only give it a half try and then jump on the contingency plan. I want you to give 75, 90% of everything towards your major, towards what, this degree is giving you. Kind of give some to your, contingency, so that if that does come up, you started it at least,
You know what I've heard, Mike? I've heard
I think he's like ready.
I've heard Steve Harvey say, I think it was Steve Harvey, and I'm not even a big fan of Steve Harvey, say that, never have a plan B, because then you always tend to fall back on that plan B. If you stick with plan A and there is no plan B, then you have nothing but plan A to go to and work towards. So I kind of get what you're saying.
But
that's exactly what I'm saying.
This is my feeling on that piece of it. And I actually just had this conversation recently with another parent, another father actually, as it relates to what that means for paying for college, right? Like, and this is my personal perspective on it, and my kids are still young. They may or may not move in that direction or not. I don't know how I feel about my kids wanting to go into the field of the arts. And I say that knowing that Mike's son is in art school doing it and so I feel like
I'm about to say, so is it
right. So both of y'all got kids in the art. And I think, and I do believe my kids have that same interest.
But why not?
Because I think that, I feel like, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, how you feel about it. Like, the idea of,
you're wrong.
You don't have to pay. The amount of money that you pay for university for them to go into the arts, it doesn't require them to go into university to go into the arts like that.
Okay. That is partially true. That is partially true, John. And I don't know, I can't speak for Mike, and so I'll give Mike an opportunity to speak as well. But I have learned, because I went to a performing arts high school, right? And I was in the performing arts program. So I know that there is a lot more that goes on than the eye can see, right?
Right.
But I was on the music side, so I really can't speak for, the theater side and the dance side and the graphic side. But when I went to college myself, I too started out and I stayed in music, and then I switched over to computer graphics. And I still realized, even as my son goes to school, while he's in theater, there's a lot more that you must learn about theater than just learning your lines and learning how to act. In order to be successful, or not even just to be successful, in order to be marketable in the theater world. Yeah, you can luck up and have pure talent and pure skill and be able to go out there and kill it and be on Broadway and this, that, and the third. But if you really wanted to be able to be successful, make connections, school is for connections. Flat out. A lot of people, you can learn, like you said, a lot of stuff you don't have to go to school for, but school is for connections. So if you can make those connections while you're in school, then you will already have a leg up on anybody else who may be going out through, just off the whim and be like, yo, I want to act in just regular local theater. So I get what you're saying, John, but I disagree to a certain extent, because my son has made connections even in the summer job he has had. My son has made connections while he has been in school, doing, he's getting his bachelor's of fine arts, his theater degree. So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I would say if you have the opportunity to get those connections and get that leg up, why not get the leg up? But I agree. I'm not with the student loans and so forth.
So here's my thing, and this is really piggybacking off of Ty, because he hit it. Like He should have. I tried to
like
clean
you
it up.
should.
I know. I tried to clean it up. It didn't work.
Sorry, we can't. But for y'all who listening, we can't be together. The three of us can't be together. There's a fourth guy. I'm glad he ain't here. Not really. It would be great with us.
This show would have went completely left.
It would have been the whole
2.5 seconds ago with what Mike said alone.
Yeah, especially what I just said.
But anyway, go ahead, Mike.
So I was trying to keep from saying hit the nail on the head, but whatever. I ended up doing worse. The whole thing is, though, I wanted to say that. Well, I want to bring up a comparison. A lot of people talk about just regular life. We'll say IT, because IT is a really big field, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can come straight out of high school knowing coding, and get into IT and make six figures, probably within a couple years.
Yeah.
However, like Ty was saying, the chances of you making those connections and the chances of you getting further quicker in your career rest on that degree. Because people in the corporate world, they still look at degree. A degree says something about you. It's like an unsaid, it says something about you. You went through 4 years and studied for this certain thing, and you prospered. So, and then, like I was telling my son, if he had gone to Duke or UNC Chapel Hill or whatever, these are schools that carry weight. Same thing with his degree. SCAD, it carries weight. So, could he do it without the degree, without having to spend the money? Sure, but it's going to be easier. He'll probably go further quicker, and he can, foster those connections now with that education. So, I do feel like it's beneficial. Is it necessary? No, but is it beneficial? Yeah. I think so.
It definitely has benefit. My wife says that she will absolutely support our boys that choose going to the arts, and I don't disagree with that. And this is what I would say to that. So circling all the way back is the idea of what Mike, what you said earlier about the contingency plan that your son is working on, and Ty, the comment that you made, vis-a-vis Steve Harvey and like not having that plan B. Like, I believe that they absolutely should have a plan B. And in my mind, that plan B can be a subset of the field that they're interested in. So for instance, if you are interested in art, right? You're interested in drawing, painting, also make sure you're taking some classes in digital art. Also make sure that area is an area that you are aware of, because you need to understand that aspect of it along with being a artist, a painter, sculptor, whatever, right? Also understanding business, right? It can be helpful, right? Maybe, I'm not an artist, but like if you are a musician, if you are if you're in theater, understanding the business side of it, so having some courses in business, minor in business or something in that area can be helpful, right? Because you need to have an understanding of that may or may not come in those theater classes. They may not have a theater class, theater business management or whatever, right? So having that sense of how you can support yourself in your endeavors as you move forward is what I think is really important. So being able to talk to my kids as they go through their schooling, right? If they get to that point many years from now and about looking at college, I'm going to say to them, look, you want to be an X? Fantastic. But don't forget about how Y works with X, right? And maybe learning something about that as well.
So to be completely transparent here, John, I'm not probably. I know I'm the only person on your show right now who does not have a degree, right? But I have taken enough college courses to have a degree. I probably should have. But when I actually did go to school, so to your point, John, in choosing your major, I initially started out as a music business major because again, I was in music big time, right? I wanted to be in music business. But then when some circumstances happened and I wanted switching my degree track over to computer graphics, right? So to your point, in the computer graphics track, you are obligated while I was learning computer graphics, I was obligated to take a painting class. I was obligated to take a sketching class. I was obligated to learn all the different tracks of art more than just the digital portion of it. I had to learn animation. I had to learn quite a few other things in order to be able to obtain my degree, which I never achieved. But so yes, you do actually learn, and I can't speak for other degree tracks, but you do actually learn, even though you may be getting your degree in theater, you do actually learn the business side of it. You do learn set design. You do learn, how they put together the music scores. You do learn choreography. So you do learn those different parts of the business that make up the entire aspect of that specific field. You don't just learn, I got to learn my lines and now I can go on stage and act. You do learn all of those other different parts. So you do pretty much have a backup plan without even quote unquote having a backup plan. So again, you are learning, but you're learning what you need to know in order to learn holistically and not just the small part of I'm just an actor and I can go on stage and sing and dance. You do know all aspects of the business. And the only reason I know this is because again, my son, is getting his degree in Bachelor's of Fine Arts in theater specifically, and the courses that he has shared with me, he's taken, gives him the holistic view of the theater world and not just acting and singing and dancing on stage.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And go ahead and hit Yvette's point because
Yvette, she says when you don't get your big break in front of the camera, the degree allows you to be gainfully employed behind the scenes in the meantime, or forever, Because
forever isn't a bad thing. Think about it. People become directors. Right. People become directors because they can't act, or they get the acting gig. They became a director. Now they making more money as a director than they did would have been as an actor.
Right.
That's true.
And so that's what I was going to say. And I want to give Ty, if we can, John, a moment to help us understand different things that may come with theater. But what I want to say is my son opened up our eyes, my wife and I, to how many things art contributes to. That we're thinking artists.
They don't call it STEAM. They don't call it STEAM for nothing because it got art in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's included in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Science, technology, engineering, art, and math. They include that for a reason. So
now they added architecture too, which is I'm like, isn't that science?
Yeah. But what I wanted to say is that he definitely going through that track. We had to take a step back at first because we were like, what you going to do with art? That was the first thing back when he was like in the 10th and 11th grade in high school. But, it's opened our eyes to see so many things. I mean, from not just entertainment, but just the corporate world. I mean, from designs for anything. I mean, from
logos.
Yeah, from logos to marketing to how the layouts of the businesses, the layouts of the offices. I mean,
interior design.
Now you're talking about interior design, but now you're talking about the graphic, like you brought up, digital. You're talking about everything that's happening on the net now. It has to be creative. And we as laymen, we just go to sites typically that already have it set up, but somebody has put that all together ahead of time. Somebody has to create that stuff, and that's where those artists come in. I mean, and then on in entertainment, there's so much with art, and I mean, so anyway, what I want to say is from small business to Fortune 500, there are so many legitimate, not just painting on a canvas jobs that they are preparing to do. Mm-hmm. And, college, just like everything else, we've all been there, at least to say it opens up other avenues of thinking. When you're exposure, it opens up, exposure to other things, and you never know where you're going to go.
So do you think that your concern about it at first, now your son has opened your eyes to it, do you think that, and maybe you too, Ty, do you think that was a cultural thing, like that you were concerned about it at first, about him going into the arts?
Yes and no. Because I'm in my culture, of course, yes. I've seen a lot of other parents or older parents who have thought the same thing or thought the same way. But at the same time, I also know a lot of other cultures, predominant cultures, that do the exact same thing. So, yeah, I think it's both. Yeah.
It is. It definitely is. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I grew up in the arts. I even before going to high school, part of the DC Youth Orchestra. Y'all can see I got my Love DC Go-Go shirt on. But I grew up as part of, I grew up in the arts, and I always had a love for specifically music. And you would not necessarily get clowned for music, but if you wanted to be an actor, if you wanted to be, do something in theater or dance or whatever, you would generally, as African Americans, you would generally get clowned because you wanted to do something different. Key example, my mother always told me, and I didn't know, I was too young. My mother always said that when I was younger, she always wanted to enroll me into dancing, right? I never know myself to be a dancer, but she's always wanted to enroll me in dancing. However, my father put her into that. As a black man, he was like, yo, I don't want my son out here dancing like some little word that I'm not going to say on your show right now. Because, he was afraid of what it would look like to others to have his son out here dancing, in professionally, non-professionally, whatever the case may have been. But if you think about it, think about the black, you got your Savion Glovers, you got your Gregory Hines. So there were black African-American men who are, actual professional dancers who have become very prominent in their career, right? So yeah, to answer your question, John, being in the arts specifically is something that is not necessarily shined upon, brightly in our community. But if you think, I don't know why not. Why, they make money just like every other career. They become famous just like every other career. They need to be, they become role models just like every other, career has role models. So why not? Why can't you have dancers and actors and musicians, that are African-American men?
And before you jump in there, John, there's the whole adage, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
That too.
This is very interesting. I hear you. I don't disagree. I think that first off, this wasn't even the original topic. We're on a whole nother. But it's still about education. Still about education. You gotta go to school, right? So, but I love this. And so the piece that strikes me most is, and this is, I can speak specifically for me because you are speaking to someone who found a love for theater in the most unlikely way, right? Like it took me going away from home to find my love of theater.
Because you went to the go-go version of the Wiz.
that was way down the line on this, but when I was, but you, like you said, Ty, like it wasn't cool to be in theater, right? It wasn't cool to be in dance. In the arts, unless you were in music, unless you played music, you know what I'm saying? And that was only certain instruments. Now, don't you dare pick up the flute. But
clarinet.
So my wife says, and the gigs was amazing. Okay, she just tried to win tickets for us to go see Grease with a side of mumbo sauce. It sounds disgusting, as a, I don't know why you even put that together. You could decide a mumbo. So anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But the idea
DC's
is
version of Grease.
So when I was in school in DC, there were no options to be in theater. I didn't feel like I had any in the school where I was.
Oh,
like,
I'm about to say you got Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington's in DC.
Right, but what I'm saying is like in my school, like I didn't have, it wasn't like readily there for me, right? So, but then when I did go away to school, and it was cool to be an athlete and to be in theater, like I saw people who were like star athletes who were also involved in theater. I was like, I could do that, you know what I'm saying? So it was just a different way, and they were Black. And so it was just a different way of seeing it in that environment. Like seeing it first helped me feel like it was okay for me to do it. And so I got involved in theater. But when I left high school, in my mind, there was not a snowball's chance in hell that I was going to do theater in college, because I was the first person in my family to go to college.
Okay.
So I needed to get a job where I knew I was going to make some money. Right. Like that's me. That's me. I'm just saying for me. I can't speak for nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have a lineage of people going off to college in my family who were college educated and who could talk me through why it was okay for me to pick what I love and not just what was going to make me money. And not to say you can't make money in what you love. Not to say you can't make money in what you love.
I'm sorry. Let me ask you this. I know you said you don't. One, I got to make a comment with what Mike just said. What did you say, Mike? You said in regards to you don't even remember what you said. But anyway, you said, but why does it matter if somebody came before you who did what they love? Why couldn't, like, for instance, I'll tell you again, my father does not have a degree. I don't have a degree. I didn't realize until later that my grandfather has a degree. He actually got his later in life, but that doesn't still mean I couldn't encourage my kids to be able to go ahead and get theirs. I still can encourage my kids to be able to chase and follow their dreams, for even though I did not. So while you did not have the people come before you who was in arts or whatever the case may be, that still didn't mean you couldn't follow your dreams or your desires to be X, Y, and Z.
It did, and I'll tell you why. Because there is also when you don't have, and my mother did the best that she could. She didn't have the mindset to encourage me in that way because she didn't understand what that next step. That just wasn't her mentality. That wasn't what she knew, right? Yeah. Even going to college was foreign to her. The idea, the thought of, again, literally the first person in my family to get a college degree. And I mean, both sides, all the way, year cousins, nobody, me.
Wow, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So some of them have since gone back to school.
You sell out.
But I was a trendsetter. I was breaking the generational curse in my family, right? I was doing
Kudos.
Something that was so far beyond what I had seen anybody do in my family, that there wasn't even the beginnings of a blueprint.
Gotcha.
For in my family, right? So the fact that you had, Ty, somebody in your family who had gone to college, right, whether you knew it or not, right, that automatically put you on a different path of how generations would then understand their experience as it related to college, because college wasn't, whether you finished or not, Ty, you went to college, you had a college experience, so college was not an enigma to your kids.
That's true. Okay. That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They had set foot on a college campus prior to getting there.
That's
right?
True.
So all of those things are part of that understanding that has to exist for someone to feel that they can then make these giant leaps in their family, right? So like my giant leap was going to college.
Gotcha.
Like You know what I'm saying? My mother got GED, so my giant leap was going to college.
Gotcha.
And now I have a master's degree. So what does that mean for my kids? That means that they will understand. They have two parents who went to college. They will understand why college is important, what they can do in college.
Right.
And they will have someone who will be able to guide them through that process from start to finish, in terms of right from the time they decide that they want to go to college, looking at schools, applying to schools, applications, visiting schools. My mama don't even drive. She couldn't help me visit not one school. Like literally, I got accepted to school sight unseen.
Well, I went on to college.
Right. So see, but you had an environment that set that up for you. You had a situation.
Yeah. It's called church.
and even within church, that could have still not happened. Your parents could have been like, "We're not going to send you on that trip," right? So there has to be something there that's moving people in that, and that's the unfortunate part. And this is a whole nother kind of idea. That's the unfortunate part of like why there are people within our community, within the Black community, who have
accessible.
They don't feel like it's accessible because they just don't know. They don't have anybody guiding them in that direction. It's just one of those things. So with that said, I applaud the fact that both of you all have your kids not only in college, but you have your kids doing the things that they love. Mm. And whether they will one day be the Jean Baptiste or the Samuel L. Jackson or the Morgan Freeman or whatever, you know what I'm saying, Denzel Washington, what they have is they have a foundation that has allowed them to feel comfortable to explore that option. And I hope to be that for my kids. Mm. So,
and I will say this as well, John, very quickly. I also let it be known that whatever my kids' desires was, it was okay with me. College was not necessarily the thing that they had to do. They didn't have to go to college if they chose not to go to college. Like you said, if they didn't want to go to college, you stupid Mike. If they didn't want to go to college and they wanted to chase their dreams elsewhere or a different path that was not, traditionally college, that would have been fine with me as well. So long as they had a plan to get to where they needed to get to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I was a little different in my house. We felt like because they had the not wherewithal, but the capacity to go to college, that they should go on and obtain that college degree. So no matter what else they decide to do in life, they always had that in their pocket. Now if we ever felt like they didn't have the capacity, and not saying that you ever felt like that or anything like that, but just in my household, because they, we realized they had the capacity for it, we felt like they needed to achieve that, then go on to do whatever. So that was how we did it.
Cool. Hey, that just happened. We just did that. Thank you guys. That was not we started off with the topic and then we went to something else, and I don't have no problem with it. That was a great conversation. I appreciate that. So we are right up against this hour mark. So I want to say thank you guys for joining me tonight on the Daddy Confessions podcast. I'm looking forward to the Millionaire Man Cave coming back. To everybody out there listening, Ty just left. Ty rolled out.
He dipped.
Oh, like he mad. I don't know what happened.
See ya.
But everybody out there who listening, if you are interested in being on the show, you can reach out to the Daddy Confessions on Instagram, or you can email me at thedaddyconfessions@gmail.com. If you're interested in being on the show, if you have some questions that you would like me answered on the show, you can leave the questions at the email address as well. Love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Daddy Confessions Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Love to have you be a part of what we are doing in Daddy Confessions Podcast Nation. I don't know what I'm calling this group, but thank you guys for always supporting Daddy Confessions. Mike, thank you for being here. Ty,
Oh,
I know
my
you
pleasure.
out there
Thank
somewhere.
you.
Yeah, man.
Inspiring better daddyship.
That's right. That's right. All right, y'all. Peace. Oh, my wife says good night. Oh, that's Ty. His power went out.
Oh, snap.
And my wife says good night, and Ty says he enjoyed being part of the show. Enjoy having you, brother.
Man.
Thank
you.
Peace.